A preacher not quite knowing what he's saying, what he's saying. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. When you lose control, it's so hard to hold all this weight up on my shoulders. I hate to say I told you so. Take 10 steps back, close your eyes and listen, and look from somewhere different. I know that I've been slipping. I fold my tie and ribbon to hide my scars. That's how it starts. Ooh, I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. When you lose control, it's so hard to hold all this weight up on my shoulders. I hate to say I told you so. Yeah, told you so. Yeah, I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. I don't wanna be around when you lose control. When you lose control, it's so hard to hold all this weight up on my shoulders. I hate to say I told you so. Hate to say I told you so. Hate to say I told you so.
No sleep, no fear, different point of view. It's here, it's now what we wanna do. Don't have all the answers, but we don't care. I thought the answer was in front of me, but it was just a dream, and all the failing made me see. I thought I had to choose another point of view. It's here, it's now what we wanna do. Don't have all the answers, but we don't care. I thought the answer was in front of me, but it was just a dream, and all the fading made me see. I thought I had to choose another way. You can't predict your fate. It's just how it's meant to be. This is where our worlds collide. This is where we come alive. This is where we realize. This is where we realize. It's all that matters now. It's all that matters now. It's all that matters now. Highlights, I tried. Bright lights caught me now. Red signs like holy night. Towering, can't stop me now. My flight brought me back down. Landscapes a perfect hell. But if I can, I'll say a little prayer. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I need it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down. Heaven, don't shoot me down. High fight, my life. Lightning, strike me out. Red signs like holy nights. Towering, can't stop me now. My flight brought me back down. Landscapes a perfect hell. But if I can, I'll say a little prayer. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I need it. Heaven, don't shoot me down, 'cause I see it. Heaven, don't shoot me down. Heaven, don't shoot me down.
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Thursday, January 28th edition of Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. We're all friends here, and that dude next to me is the king of the stonk market. Because if you remember, he tweeted out some spicy takes on that stimulus check and got absolutely obliterated by people on Twitter.
Okay, time out. I had thousands of likes, and yes, there were like 20 comments that were negative, but plenty of positives from that as well, sir.
Obliterated on Twitter, the king of the courtside, Joey.
Oh my gosh.
the prolonged introduction. Joey, this week has been absolutely insane. I don't even know how to introduce this show today. It has been just 2021 is just off to a very weird start. But how was your week, sir?
Week's going all right. Stock market's been interesting to watch. There's been ups and downs as far as that goes. But honestly, 2021, guys, is going to be crazy. Not only with the GameStop stock stuff going on currently, not only with the change of presidency as well, there's going to be a lot going on in gaming and esports. Can't get into it all just yet, but throughout the next couple shows, we'll start leaking a little bit more here and there. But there is going to be a lot of movement in the gaming industry.
I was going to say something smart, but I decided not to.
Please enlighten us.
It's a family show. It's a family show, Joey. Those spicy comments are saved for Discord. Discord.me/OTN. Check it out if you will. Nation, while you're checking Twitter, Discord out, why not check us out on Twitter and other social media as well? Level Up Live is available on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live, and that is at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, I teased it introducing Joey. Yeah, he got some likes here and there. But seriously, if you need financial advice that a lot of people do not like, Courtside King. At Courtside King on Twitter. Spicy takes. To the moon! To the moon! All rockets to the moon. Let's go. Then follow myself as well at Fiasco for all the witty comebacks and hot takes and just absolute hating on Cyberpunk, because, that's still a thing. We still hate on Cyberpunk. It's kind of weird. And Nation, as always, if you do wish to listen to the podcast version of the show, Level Up Live is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And since you're listening to the podcast version already, leave us a really awesome review. Not a Robin Hood review. We don't want any 1 stars. We don't want half star. We're looking for 3 stars or above is really what we're going to say here. Yeah, reviews do go a long way. We actually read all of our reviews that we get. Feedback is very important to us because we want to bring you, our viewers and listeners, the content you guys want to hear and see and listen. So definitely feedback is always welcomed, whether it's positive, negative, constructive. We listen to it all. So thank you in advance for your feedback. All right, Joey. What in the world are we talking about today? I briefly went over the notes. I am still just in awe about this past week and all the amazingness in the stock market. So what are we talking about today?
Guys, we are talking about quite a few different things. We're a little bit of a rebrand going on in esports. NIP Gaming is the newest one rebranding, so we'll be diving into that. A lot of investments going on, whether it be in gaming, whether it be in esports, new partnerships. We'll be diving into that goodness as well. Since we didn't record Monday, we're going to touch on the Xbox Live price increase and then reversal on that, as well as what that kind of means for Microsoft and gaming in general. Diving into the stock market again, not going super deep in here, as deep as some people are into GameStop, but we'll be touching on that. Some Netflix news, some other gaming things here and there, some game rumors, leaks, and maybe a bit more.
All right, Joey, there is a ton to talk about. I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty long episode, which means we're going to need to up the ante a little bit for our drink of choice. We need something that's going to last us the entire shebang, the entire show, the entire hurrah. Because, Joey, we don't have paper hands. We're holding the line. We're not selling. We need some good, strong drinks. So, Joey, it is time for the drink of choice. Joey, I'm going to let you go first. What is your beverage of choice for today's episode?
So, guys, we have some spicy stuff on the slate today. I'm drinking somewhat of an ultra rare beverage tonight. Not like Rip Van Winkle rare, but it's one of those rare ones out there. It is a Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. It's the anniversary special edition. for 2020. I think it's like their 10-year or something anniversary. So they made a limited collection of these special edition bottles. I was able to get one via a friend as a gift. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. I believe it's actually a stout, all in considered here, but it's got those bourbon flavors, some of that like bourbon barrel action going on with some vanilla tones. So I'm pretty excited to dive in. It's probably gonna be a little sugary than I normally like, but it's one of those cool kind of rare exclusives out there.
And yes, if you're watching on Twitch, Discord is acting up, which is fantastic. Joe, you said that's Goose Island?
Yeah, Goose Island, Bourbon County from Chicago, Illinois.
Good old Chicago. That was the only good thing about Chicago when I lived there was Goose Island. I'm a big fan of their 312 wheat beer. Very delicious.
Oh.
Joey, all right. I've teased it long enough. It's time to break out. You didn't see this coming. I didn't tell Joey or anything beforehand. Joey, may I introduce to you? Uh-oh. See, this is what happens when you forget to change the stinger. You get the 8-second long OTN Media video once again. Think
of it as a drum roll, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, this is the all new, totally OG Fiasco's Drink Cam, copyright, trademark registered, all of the above. So, Joey, I'll be making my drink live on air today. I don't think this violates any TOS. I read through them. I didn't see anything about mixology not being allowed here. So, hello. Here's my hand here. Look at that. So
now we just have to hope that John doesn't spill it on himself like he did last time.
Yes, this would be absolutely horrific. So, this is a fancy take on a Moscow Mule. I call this the Bloody Comrade, and you'll see why here in a second. So, I have my awesome little mixer cup right here. What we're gonna see a little Chopin potato vodka, Joey. It's healthy, right? All alcohol is healthy for you in restricted quantities, right?
To the moon.
To the moon. We are going to go with the 1.5 shot side. I believe that was the correct side. We're going to throw a little extra in there for good luck. Because, as we all know, vodka keeps coronavirus at bay. So we're going to...
This is the kind of bartender you want, ladies and gentlemen. For listeners 21 and up, of course.
21 and up. We do not sponsor underage drinking. I'll neither confirm nor deny I had any part of that when I was underage. Let's see here. Of course, you got to be classy. Little lime action here. Little Vanna White action. We're gonna squeeze a little lime in the vodka juice because that's how the song went. We're gonna crack up one of these hibiscus ginger beer cans. Little fancy action here because there's a healthy 2 shots of vodka in here. We're gonna give her the whole shebang. We're not going to shake it up because it is carbonated, but we're going to give her a nice little swirly action here. Joey, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And because we want the lime in there as well, because lime is delicious, we pour it into a beautiful copper mug that spills all over the place. Fantastic.
Wow, the tradition is kept alive.
It is kept. I need to grab I need to grab a coaster when I bring it over here. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in the copper cup. Beautiful. The Bloody Comrade, as I like to call it. And as we slowly transition back to the with the prolonged, I'm going to figure out how to change this here real quick because I really don't feel like having this go for another 8 seconds. Boom. Just like that. Back to normal, Joey. That is delicious. All right. I don't want to waste any more time with that. I told you going to take 30 seconds. I think that took like 2 minutes. I apologize. My timing horribly off today. And Joey, we're going to be going up against some big streamers in this time slot. So I don't want to waste any more time here before AOC kicks her stuff off here in about 21 minutes. Let's get right into gaming and esports news, Joey. Let's go.
Absolutely. She's exciting, but does she have the gaming leaks that we do? Probably not. She does probably have more information on the stock market, though. So check her stream out later if you're interested in that. But for now, let's talk a little bit about this rebrand. John, go ahead. Once you've wiped that glass off, pull up the picture of this new logo. Nip Gaming has gone through and rebranded their logo as well as provided a new brand update. Again, not a huge change. It's still the basic idea of a little bit of a shuriken to go with that ninja theme. They did throw in some letters, threw in a little bit of symbolism as well. So it is a pretty clean logo overall. I can't say it's like the most exciting logo out there, but I think it does bring some flavor to their profile.
Okay, let's see here. Should we do the video?
No.
No video. Okay, let's see. Where's
Just the picture.
I don't want just a picture. I gotta scroll down and find it first. I should have saved this beforehand, you know? It's been a lot easier to pull up.
This is what happens when we're working on a bar instead of a podcast.
Joey, how dare you? I may have just unplugged the wrong thing here. Let's see here. We are going to go to this. Okay, we're not doing this.
I just gave you a link. If you scroll down on that, there's a big picture.
You probably gave me the link in Discord, right?
No, on the show notes.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I need to change my stinger because this is just absolutely fantastic. I need to fix this real quick.
And to most of our listeners on the podcast,
There we go.
apologize. It's been a little crazy over here.
There.
Kicked off.
We're just going straight from Twitter, Joey. This is ninjas in pajamas. There you go. Go ninjas.
Beautiful. So this is what the new logo looks like. I don't know if you have an image of the old one up there. Pretty much the same thing. The old one was that similar circle format. Instead of some of the symbolism that you see in there, it was like four little, they're kind of like people figures that kind of look like ninjas fighting it out in the middle of a little circle thing. Overall, I think this is a cleaner look. I think there's a little bit more you can do. And kind of like what we talked about before, with a lot of the logos moving to a moving logo format, this allows for a lot more ability for the logo to be moving in for like transitions, whether it be like video transitions, whether it be openings or closings. It kind of allows for a little bit more of that creativity as well. Any other thoughts on this rebrand? I feel like compared to a lot of the rebrands, this one's a little bit more, I don't want to say casual, but not as dramatic. Some of the other ones that we've seen have been very dramatic changes overall. This one, it's keeping that same original idea, making it look a little bit different, a little bit cleaner, and a little bit easier to print on materials, but nothing outstandingly, like crazily different.
Yeah, I like it. Personally, I think it's a solid rebrand. Like you said, it's nothing too drastic, and I think there's something to be said for that. I think they realized that their logo itself, the logo itself wasn't bad. It effectively showed their brand, their ninjas in pajamas. It's essentially just a slight redesign and recoloring, and I think it looks great. I think it's a good upgrade. When you try to rebrand a lot, like a Dignitas, when you go from the ghost to an owl back to a ghost, you go back to a ghost for a reason, because obviously you missed the mark with the owl. That logo, we kind of destroyed it here on the show as well. It was like, okay, we get what you're going for, but it looks a lot like a European soccer logo. It's just not as, it just didn't pop as much as that Ghost did. The Ghost was an iconic brand. Same thing here with, I believe it's the Shuriken for Ninjas in Pajamas. It's an iconic logo that just got tweaked a little bit. I haven't seen anything negative about it. I think it looks great. And I think that if you're going to go for a rebrand or a refresh, if you will, of your logo, I think this is the way to do it. It's very smart.
Yeah, and it's been a lot quieter as well. Like Ninjas in Pajamas is not the biggest of brands when it comes to esports. So I think doing this, they had an announcement video, they've had articles, but it hasn't been like a big to-do. It's not been like all over esports news when Dignitas changed their logo or when Evil Geniuses changed theirs. They're a much smaller organization overall. So it's out there, people are talking about it, but it's not going to pull up those headlines. It's not going to be a trending hashtag, anything like that. It's just been a little bit more clean and simple on the side of NIP. Over to partnerships, a couple have re-upped and a couple of new deals, and then we're going to dive a bit more into investments. Kicking things off, just clean and simple, Team Liquid has renewed a decade-long partnership with Alienware. John, I think we're both on the same page here. This one was probably not going to change anytime soon. Alienware being the name on their training facility. On top of that, Team Liquid and Alienware, I mean, they've pretty much gone together like bread and butter for so long now in esports. They're constantly together as far as logos, working on projects together. Tournaments that Team Liquid runs are typically sponsored by Alienware. When you look at the computers they're using, they're Alienware. Again, the whole training facility, that was a very big deal when it was originally built. Alienware as well. Not surprised at all that they're re-upping this deal.
Yeah, it makes complete sense here. Like if you were to ask me to name a better duo than hedge funds and marketplace manipulation, I would say Team Liquid and Alienware. It's like bread and butter. It goes straight together with each other. They've worked together for years. Obviously, they have that major investment in the Alienware Trading Center. So that's, that shows faith in that partnership. I don't think Alienware would have put money into it if they didn't have any plans of re-upping this. So it makes a lot of sense. It shows great stability, and it's a solid partnership that's going to continue to work for years to come.
And then David Beckham with his new Guild Esports is also bending in some nice deals here, signing a 2-year deal with HyperX. Again, HyperX, one of those organizations that seems to sign with a ton of different esports orgs, usually one of those big preferred peripheral providers. whether it be headsets, whether it be keyboards, mice. HyperX is kind of involved in many different areas when it comes to this peripherals. Guild Esports, being one of those newer orgs, is trying to find these partnerships, trying to find their way of really solidifying their space in the esports realm. This is a good way of doing it, finding a really trusted partner like HyperX, signing a deal not for 1 year, but for 2 years as well. Finding some of that longevity and being able to have someone like HyperX on your side is a good way to kick things off. Anything else on Guild Esports and that good old fun with David Beckham over there?
We'll see if he can still bend it like Beckham.
Yeah, we'll see if he can
He's
bend
old
it like
now.
Beckham. For now, he's going to have to bend some wins in esports because he's coming up against some steep competition in stuff like Fnatic, G2, Team Liquid, Cloud9. It is not an easy environment for a new esports org to make their way into. It does help if you have some Beckham money behind you overall and now a sponsor like HyperX, but it's still going to be a long hill to climb for Guild Esports. Next up is Tencent. Guys, if you have not been listening to the show, welcome to LvLUp Podcast, where we talk about Chinese companies taking over the world every once in a while. Tencent has been making tons of investments the last couple of years. We have warned about it, that they're going to continue to grow in the gaming space. Some people are wary about Chinese companies and their involvement in gaming and maybe the data they end up pulling, maybe the oversensitization that some people have in Asian countries. There's back and forth about it overall. One thing that's very certain is that Tencent is going to continue to make investments in gaming and esports. They did it last year. I don't remember the exact numbers, around $22 billion that got invested into different studio acquisitions. Tencent was the majority of those as well. Now looking into this year, can't promise they're going to be the majority, but they're going to be a heavy top contender when it comes to it as well. So John, just diving into a few of these, and then we can break them down a bit. Tencent just this week has invested in Clay Entertainment, a majority stake for the developers behind Don't Starve, a minority share in Shanghai-based Darkstar Games, the developer behind Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption, a minority share valued at 30 million euros in one of John's favorite studios, Don't Nod Entertainment, the studio behind Life is Strange, Tell Me Why, and other games, a 12% stake in Bayou Family Entertainment, a Guangzhou, China-based game developer, mainly known for games in the educational space, so trying to get those teaching-based games out there, and they've done really well with expanding overseas, something that Tencent is heavily investing into right now. But that's not all, John. They're also making partnership deals. The LEC, the most known League of Legends league in the world outside of Asia, the European League, is made a broadcast deal with Tencent as well now, and it's going to be streamed on the Chinese platform Trovo, which is Tencent owned. And on top of that, we have one more. They also formed a strategic partnership with Red Magic. So yeah, GameStop is making some great moves in the market, but the one no one is noticing is Tencent just acquired 4 companies or big stakes in companies and made 2 major partnerships worldwide. This company is a sleeping giant that no one is paying attention to in gaming and esports, but it continues to grow like an absolute monster. You know, Godzilla vs. King Kong, when that movie comes back, eventually it's going to be Tencent versus Microsoft when it comes to the gaming and esports world, depending what Amazon and Google do. So one to watch out for. John, I know you probably want to talk about Don't Nod Entertainment, so let's dive into that a bit, as well as some of these other moves. Tencent, that sleeping giant, just continues to wake up in gaming and esports.
Yeah, so yes, obviously, if you listen to the show, we've been talking about Tencent for well over, when we start the show, 2016, it feels like we've been talking about them for years. This is not surprising. Now, the fact that this all in 1 week, absolutely massive. But yes, the minority stake in Don't Nod, well, this is, I'm going to go down a certain road, and I apologize here. Yes, this is great for Don't Nod. This is a massive funding for them. This is going to help create new amazing content, but also we have to remember a couple things. When it comes to China, they don't exactly have the best human rights record anywhere in the world, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. This is a big question. If you're Don't Nod, you are known for putting out games that talk about current events, that talk about discrimination, things about racism, immigration, sexual orientation, divorce. There's a lot of hot button topics that are covered in your games. Most recently, Tell Me Why, one of the main characters is a transgendered male. Do we really think that a company that is backed by Tencent, which has ties to the Chinese government, is going to allow gay characters or any member of the LGBTQ plus community to be in these games? It's a very big question. A lot of people are talking about it on social media. I would hope that Tencent would kind of be hands off in that sense. That's what made Don't Nod big to begin with. Games like Life is Strange and Tell Me Why, games that push those those envelopes, that crossed that line and forced people to be exposed to, you know, what's going on in modern day society. My big question is what kind of pushback is Don't going to see from a Tencent investment as a minority stakeholder in their company now? Are they going to force them to kind of play into a propaganda, into a storyline that is, you know, that conforms with what the Chinese government wants? Again, that's kind of just like out there in left field a little bit with this acquisition. Again, it's huge for Don't, $30 million to have a minority stake investor in Tencent come into your company. It's absolutely massive. But that is something that if you're Don't, this is what you've made your name off of. This is definitely something that you want to have clarified going into this deal.
Okay, so before I jump in, because we're talking about stocks, we'll do some disclaimers here and there. I own shares in Tencent, so everything
Same.
I have, you can take as a bias or whatever if you want to. I honestly don't have a giant problem with the way they handle developers. I think the biggest thing with them is they just want to acquire as many as they can and have them spread out worldwide. So when it comes down to it overall, they're trying to buy up all these publishers. They're making their own development in California now. They're building 2 studios out there. They're building one in Canada as well, I believe, like Vancouver. So they're looking all over the place. And the one thing with them is when they're acquiring these developers or these majority shares as well, they have put a little pressure on Riot Games here and there, but a lot of the minority shares, they haven't touched too much. It's more getting their hands in and allowing those developers to continue on the way they are. Now, with that being said, when you look at someone like a Microsoft or a Sony doing this, Microsoft is paying for a lot of those costs. They're funding a lot of this. Sony's doing the same thing. They're allowing these studios to expand. They're allowing them to maybe experiment with IPs a little bit more than they normally would. Maybe they allow them to extend deadlines or the lack thereof. Tencent doesn't really do much of that either way. So the positives, the developers can kind of set their own deadlines. The negatives, they don't really get a ton of funding coming in from Tencent either, outside of the share that they're ending up purchasing here as a minority or majority shareholder. They're not paying a lot of the bills. They're not coming in and setting deadlines. They're not really following up a ton either. So they're very hands-off. They're saying, we want you under our umbrella. We want to make money on your game, but we're not necessarily going to give you a ton of money or a ton of direction. And again, there's pluses and minuses to that. You can argue the Microsoft and Sony way is a little bit too hands-on. Maybe they give too much funding and it allows studios to feel a little bit too comfortable. You can argue both ways. Overall, I personally don't have a huge problem with Tencent acquiring different companies. My biggest issue is the number that they're acquiring. I mean, you look at, they acquired something like 20 different companies last year. Now this year, I can't dive too much into it, but they're looking at acquiring big stuff from the sound of things. It sounds like there's a lot of different publishers that could be on the line for Tencent this year. Again, no idea what's actually going to come to fruition. There's just so many rumors out there everywhere you look, whether it be on Reddit or social media. And there's some truth maybe behind some of it. Maybe there isn't, but that's something to consider as Tencent just, again, they're hands off, but they're acquiring more and more companies and they're taking over more of that market share worldwide. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this plays out overall. I mean, we're 4 weeks into 2021 now, and Tencent has already put minority shares or significant minority shares into 4 or 5 companies, as well as 2 pretty decent sized partnerships. And we're just in month 1. So once different deals like the Bethesda Microsoft deal ends up closing, we could end up seeing much bigger moves here as we move into spring.
Time to brush up on your Mandarin, Joey.
Time to brush up on my man. I do not know any Mandarin. I'm good at reading subtitles though in movies. So
wow, we'll
take that as it is. Oh my gosh, don't shake your head at me. But one person you might be able to shake your head at is Electronic Arts. They're a company that continues to have people shake their head at them time and time again. This move I actually like though overall, which is surprising because EA doesn't usually make me say that. They've established a new studio, Full Circle, to develop their newly announced Skate title. I think this is a good move overall. When you look at EA, their sports titles in particular, it's by the EA Sports Studio. Okay, that's very basic. I mean, what does that mean? NHL, FIFA, all these games are just combined into one studio. We saw how well NBA Live has done in recent years. So it's one of those things that I like the idea of diversifying it a bit more. Full Circle taking over Skate instead of just kind of turning skateboarding into another sport-based game in that studio. They've decided to make it a bit more unique, allow it to be separate from those other ones. That in and of itself, I think, is a good move. And it, in a sense, is a little bit of a full circle move from EA as well.
Yeah, I actually like this move. Skateboarding games have really been few and far between, really ever since the downfall of the Tony Hawk franchise. Obviously, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remastered just came out. It's absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. But when it comes to like your X game titles, your your skateboarding, your snowboarding, your BMX, your extreme games, there's really no video game out there. I mean, even UFC and WWE have a video game, but like skateboarding, snowboarding, BMXing, they don't. So it's kind of nice to see like skateboarding games coming back into the fold. And I think it's smart, establishing a new studio that's going to just be focusing on skate. I think it's going to be a solid move here. I just hope there's not a ton of microtransactions, and I hope there's not a ton of loot boxes, because if there's one thing that we know about EA is they love their microtransactions and loot boxes. So we'll see what happens there. But I actually applaud EA, Joey, with you about this move of creating a new studio. It's very weird to talk positive about them.
I mean, it's one of those things where I kind of wish they would do it more, to be honest. Like, I don't want a ton of EA studios popping up wherever, but maybe within that sports studio, you break off into different segments, allow FIFA to do their thing, allow NBA Live to do their thing, NHL, and pretty much any sport under the sun, they have some kind of game franchise in. And I get it. It's the same thing. You're copy and pasting rosters, you're updating stats, you're doing some visual work here and there, but let's allow something different to happen. I know one of our friends, Panicking Pat, as well as D-Rod Ballin, they've come out and said, like, let's see something like the city from NBA 2K into a title like FIFA. What would that look like? What if there was some kind of casual environment where FIFA players could walk around and maybe do pickup games of Volta type of stuff? I think something like that would be so cool. It would allow for more characterization, more customization. Again, I don't know if the EA servers could handle it. The NBA 2K servers struggle enough. And EA in two-player games seems to struggle here and there. But it's one of those cool ideas, like what if they invested into this as a game? And maybe you don't do it for every title. Maybe NHL doesn't have some kind of crazy ice rink where everyone gets together. But in FIFA, you have this neighborhood that develops where you can go and do pickup Volta games, or maybe you have a full field where people can line up and do 11v11 as well. It's just one of those really cool ideas that I'd love to see them explore further. And as one studio, I don't think we see enough of that in EA.
I'm getting a little light on my drink of choice here, Joey.
Light? You just poured well, I mean, you can go spill another one on your table there here in a minute.
Hey.
Back to Moscow with you, my mule drinker. But overall, I like this. I think we're both in agreement that this is a good move from EA. We don't always see great moves coming out of them, but I think Full Circle could be I don't know if it'll be the start of something new, but I would love to see this become something a little bit more common within EA, where we see a little bit more creative freedom as well as some more studios branching off as opposed to just becoming another sports simulation studio over there. Vicarious Visions has merged into Blizzard. A lot of mixed thoughts on this one. Quoted, going forward, the Vicarious Visions team of about 200 people will be employees of Blizzard Entertainment and fully dedicated to existing Blizzard games and initiatives. In other words, Sean, the studio behind Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and the revived Crash Bandicoot IP that came out recently will no longer be a lead developer moving forward. A lot of different thoughts on this. Some people are speculating that they are making a new game. It is just under the Blizzard name. If we go directly off the quote, this is more that they're going to come in to help with the WoW team, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, kind of, if it still gets development updates. You have Overwatch over there as well, with Overwatch 2 potentially on the horizon. Mysteriously, who knows when it's going to come out? Maybe we hear more at BlizzCon this year. Overall, I'm kind of mixed. Like, we've seen Blizzard get rid of a lot of employees recently, and this makes me nervous for Vicarious Visions. Do we eventually see some of these employees cut out because of the Blizzard cuts, or does Blizzard realize they're making tons and tons of money? Now they're continuing to expand their studios, and maybe we see more live action up there, not live action, but live service updates. Maybe we see them take over some of the live service stuff during the downtimes of like WoW and Heroes of the Storm, so that new content can be created or new games completely can be created. I really don't know how this plays out, but 200 people is definitely not a small staff to bring in. It is kind of a bummer because Vicarious did a great job with Crash Bandicoot, as well as Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. So it's a bit of a bummer not to see them working on their own IP anymore. At the same point, this could end up freeing up Blizzard to make some more unique stuff within the realm of World of Warcraft, within the realm of Overwatch, maybe something completely new as well. Come on, you got some thoughts on Vicarious Visions. You're a big Blizzard guy over there.
Yeah.
Dive into it. What does it mean?
So it's interesting when Blizzard lays a bunch of people off and then they merge people into Blizzard. It's Blizzard's very confusing, and I blame a lot of it on Activision. What direction do they want to go? Obviously Overwatch 2 is a big title in development. Obviously they're understaffed when it comes to developing Overwatch 2. It's taken them forever. It's going to be delayed. It's going to be continue to be delayed. No one has a date. The Overwatch League is left in limbo because of it. So what do? They merge another developer into the Blizzard brand for a completely different game, or for a different game group from what Blizzard is currently working on. It's an interesting move. Like, obviously they want to develop more, but like Overwatch is like Overwatch, you have to remember, Overwatch is Blizzard's first original IP in over a decade, and they're struggling. They're absolutely struggling and keeping it alive. And it just doesn't make sense that they would do this and then continue to neglect Overwatch. Like, there's so much. Overwatch has potential. It still has potential. As long as it's under the Blizzard brand, it has potential. But then you make staff cuts, and then you make a move like this. It's very head scratching. It's like Blizzard saying, we want to consolidate and we want to work on X, Y, and Z. We're going to stop developing Heroes of the Storm. We're going to cut the college scene. We're going to cut the esports scene. We're going to lay off of StarCraft 2. We're going to cut back on this. We're going to cut back on that. And then we're going to acquire or merge another developer into the brand that works on something completely different. It sends very confusing signals if you're a Blizzard fan, if you play World of Warcraft, if you're an Overwatch fan, if you're a StarCraft fan, if you're a Hearthstone, if you're a Heroes of the Storm fan. It's a very confusing signal that Blizzard is sending right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, though. The studio has worked on a bunch of different IPs. We've seen it, trying to think, like Splash Damage was one, for example, with Gears Tactics. They've worked on a number of different IPs, and they did a stellar job with Gears Tactics. You look at some of the other different people who've been acquired recently. Asobo is another one. They're getting investments from different groups, but they've worked on a ton of different games. They developed a Plague Tale Innocence, which was fantastic. That was their own IP. They've worked on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So a number of different games out there that they have kind of worked on as well. There's a few different studios like that, though, that have kind of been, they're not really making a ton of their own IP or a ton of their own games in general, but they're working on different IP. They're working on, some of them is even just ports over. Like Nier Automata, I think someone worked on as just a port edition, didn't design any of the game. They just worked on it as a port, making it go from PlayStation to PC. So you'll see some developers like that especially get picked up this year in acquisitions. I think this is a good move by Blizzard. On the Blizzard side, Vicarious Visions, I think, gets a little screwed over. But on the Blizzard side, you're looking at hungry people like Tencent, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Sony, Take-Two, EA. Everyone's looking at expanding their studios right now with gaming booming. How can we pick people up before the boom continues to go up? And I think locking down Vicarious Visions like this kind of says, hey, they are off the market. They're actually being completely assumed into Blizzard. So we'll see how it plays out. Again, a bit of a bummer for Vicarious Visions fans, but for Blizzard overall, this could be a good move as long as they don't go crazy with those staff cuts that we have seen in recent years. I hope everyone has a safe position over there at Blizzard, and I hope it's defined. I hope it's not, hey, we have 200 staff, make them do something like a bunch of interns coming in. I hope they have a clear set plan of where to stimulate these people into their Blizzard economy when it comes to those game developments. This one, this has been in the news a lot, and people are just reading way too much into it. Konami has announced plans to restructure internal departments within the company. It's going to happen early on in February, probably February 1st, very early next week. This does not mean they're getting rid of gaming. Everyone is speculating that all these Konami IPs have been bought. They're saying PlayStation bought them, Microsoft bought them, Tencent has come in and taken all the Konami IPs. That is not the case. Konami has come out and said, yes, they're restructuring, but it's because they're in so many different businesses, not just gaming. They're trying to consolidate their departments a bit to make them make a bit more sense. Maybe one is just entertainment and gaming falls within that. Gaming will still be a division within Konami. To this point, they have not sold their IPs, so they are still over there. Again, they're not going to tell us if there's plans to get rid of their IPs. We've talked about this before. A lot of those deals happen behind closed doors before the public really hears about them. But at least for now, based on a public statement from Konami, they do not have any plans to get rid of their gaming division at the current moment.
Konami, the makers of PES Soccer, the second fiddle to FIFA. Let's see here. What else has Konami in here? Let's go down a list here real quick. Yu-Gi-Oh! There you go. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! fan. Silent Hill is in there as well.
Yeah, Silent Hill, PES. I think Metal Gear is under them, yeah.
That hurts a little bit. Let's see here. We're going to keep going.
I mean, it doesn't have to hurt.
It hurts.
I think there's Metal Gear coming out this year of some sort, or there's information about Metal Gear coming out this year.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that Konami kind of screwed over Kojima when it came to Metal Gear Solid. And the fact that they pretty much ran out the cast that's been doing Metal Gear for decades, like voice actor David Hayter of Metal Gear, of Solid Snake himself. They ran him out for Kiefer Sutherland, which was absolutely atrocious in the most recent edition of Metal Gear that was put out there. So yeah, a lot of fans are upset about it. It's going to be interesting because like you said, Joey, if Konami consolidates and they decide not to do gaming anymore, like, well, let's say they go down that road and they sell off their IP, that's a major loss. Like, this developer put out some very memorable titles that a lot of people grew up with, that there's a massive fan base around. Imagine if they just sold it off, and like that could potentially be the end of a gaming franchise, of a game title franchise, if it's bought by a developer that doesn't have any interest in seeing it continue. So, yeah, it's kind of concerning to see what they do here. It's going to leave a lot of gaming fans in limbo until there's more information released.
Guys, do not be concerned. I will be your beacon of hope here. Konami is keeping their gaming industry for now, and if they sell their IP, the buyers that they have looked at in the past would do very well with their IP. I don't think there's any reason to worry. I think you'll see a new Silent Hill game come up here sooner than later. I think you'll see a new Metal Gear game come up sooner than later, and you might see a few other IPs shared and maybe co-worked on with a few other companies here in the near future as well.
Says the guy who's invested into Tencent.
I do not have any investment into Konami.
Speculations.
So this is purely
I'm on to you, Joey.
Things here and there. I do invest in a lot of gaming companies, but since this is a little stock heavy, we'll talk about those a little bit more. But for now, nothing invested into Konami, just my interest in stuff like Metal Gear Solid, which I would love to see a sequel for here sooner than later. Okay, moving into other news, guys. This is a bit of old news. It did happen last week, but it's something John and I need to touch on. Xbox Live, the price increased last week, and then Xbox said, let's throw the brakes on. Somewhere around 7 to 10 hours later, they ended up reversing that decision. On top of that, they also announced that they will make a new decision where no longer needing gold for free games is now a thing on Xbox. It's not into place as of yet. It'll be a couple months down the road, probably come spring. You'll no longer need Xbox Live Gold for those free games. That's a huge win for gamers. But the big loss here is Microsoft talking about this price increase. So diving into that a bit more. So $60 a year is what you're paying for Xbox Live normally. Depending if you're a Game Pass subscriber or not, then it's a bit of a different deal. They decided to raise that to $120 overall. A terrible decision. If you talk to any gamer, whether they're an Xbox gamer, PlayStation gamer, wherever you're gaming on, the decision to raise a price, not only raise a price, but double a price on something that's not really adding many new features is a terrible idea in general. On top of that, you're throwing in Microsoft making this move during the pandemic as well. So while Microsoft has done really good announcing stuff like the Xbox Series S and cutting prices on a lot of other things and making Game Pass super accessible for gamers, which are all great and super consumer friendly, making a move like this and coming out and saying Xbox Live is now double the price is a terrible move overall. I mean, I feel like you're the same point here, John, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Doubling the price on anything is terrible, but doing this during the time that they chose to is a really bad idea.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like, I wasn't happy that Xbox finally got some bad publicity for a change. I am a little upset that it only took them 7 hours to reverse course. I was hoping that'd go on for at least a day, maybe 2. I wanted to get a little more pleasure out of it, out of seeing all of Twitter and Reddit and everyone turn against Xbox. It was a very awesome feeling, Joey. I don't know if you felt the same way I did. I thought it was fantastic. No, it's a stupid decision. It's like they probably stole somebody from Sony, and this guy was like in a board meeting. They're like, okay, guys, we need to come with the next great idea going to 2021. Like, Game Pass is fantastic. We got this guy Courtside King on our payroll on LvLUp Live, just absolutely loving the crap out of us every episode, twice a week for an hour plus. We need to do something to level the playing field here. And this guy's like, oh, well, at PlayStation, we offer crap product for high pricing. So how about we just double Xbox Live pricing for the gold membership? And they're like, you know what? PlayStation, they've been around for a while. This guy's been at Sony for a while. He's recently made the switch over. This sounds like a great idea. Joey, Xbox got debated by a Sony insider. That's the story that I'm sticking to. I think it's fantastic if it played out that way. And for 7 hours, Xbox got absolutely reamed on social media. It was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. But I also love the fact that they were willing to reverse course, admit that they made a mistake, and on top of it, now allowing free online gameplay to free-to-play games, not requiring an online subscription to play those. I think that is a huge U-turn by Microsoft and the correct U-turn. So I applaud them for being able to reverse course as quickly as they did. It was a very solid choice, and I think they repaired the damage pretty quickly.
Okay, fam, this is going to get a little trippy. Chat's going to call me an Xbox shill here a few
Shocker.
times. They're also going to call me a Microsoft hater potentially. But we got to dive into a couple more bits of this topic that no one seems to be covering anywhere. So the free-to-play games, yes, that is great. One thing to tell you guys, that is not something that just came up out of the blue. They had that planned for months. This was always going to be an announcement early on in 2021. They completely had plans. A lot of people are thinking, oh, this is great of Microsoft to come out and give this to us after making such a bad move. Hate to tell you guys, you just got it a couple weeks early. This was planned anyway. It was probably going to come out in a March, maybe April press conference. You got it a little bit early, but it was planned to come out anyway. A couple other things with this. The Xbox price increase. A lot of people are misunderstanding this move as well. This was not impacting everyone. Again, I'm not thinking it's a good idea. I think it's an absolutely terrible idea. But for returning players, there was no price increase. So if you were already subscribed, you were keeping your same price and you were grandfathered into that price. So this was only affecting new players, for better or for worse. I think it's terrible that it affects new players that way, with people coming into your ecosystem, looking to jump in, maybe not around the holidays since they did wait till after the holidays. Still, if someone gets a new Xbox in March or in April when more become available, now they have to adopt this new pricing if they didn't reverse it. Terrible way to welcome people into your ecosystem. Like, hello, what are you thinking? But again, no one seems to notice that the returning people were still paying the same price that they're grandfathered into. So again, doesn't make it a great move overall, but it is one of those things to consider. So now, why did they make this move? Why out of anywhere did they come out and say, let's just increase the price? Because today feels like a great day. It's a Monday. It's before GameStop's going to pop off in the stock market. Let's just make everyone think they have less money than they do. So they're trying to get people on Game Pass. That is the ultimate decision here. In doing this, they were not trying to necessarily increase the price overall. They're trying to increase the time, or really decrease the time it's taking for people to move from Xbox Live to Game Pass. Currently, they're averaging about 1 million to 1.5 million a month convert from Xbox Live Gold to Game Pass Ultimate, which is great. I mean, when you look at subscriber counts for different services, that's still a pretty high rate. But it's one of those things where Microsoft has 100 million people on Xbox Live Gold. Only like 18 million currently on Xbox Game Pass. So again, it's growing extremely high overall for subscription services, unless you compare it to Disney Plus. But it's one of those things that they want to move a bit quicker. They want to expand that overall. And I mean, not to dive too much into it, but they're going to get rid of Xbox Live. It's not public. It's not official in any way. There's a lot of speculation out there. Xbox Live will be going away at some point. They just can't lose all that money up front. They can't lose 100 million subscribers paying $60 a year. The way of doing that is trying to get the bigger number of people over to Xbox Game Pass. Yes, you're going to pay a little bit more for that. Yes, you get a ton more content as well. But once they feel like Game Pass can survive on its own and they don't really need that income from Xbox Live anymore, it will be gone. They'll be the first ones to get rid of it. It'll be goodbye, Xbox Live, everything free to play online. But it's going to take time for that move to happen. And it's not going to become public until they have enough subscribers on Game Pass. I don't think they're going to wait for 100 million. I don't know, once they're more than half, maybe 60% of subscribers from Xbox Live Gold are on Game Pass, then I think you see that move get made. So I think that's the real thing behind here. Again, not super consumer friendly the way they went about it. I don't even know if you can argue if it's consumer friendly overall, but it's the bigger picture that they're trying to get to for Game Pass to support that service and eventually get rid of Xbox Live. Some speculation, some background information, take it as you am. I'm not a big fan of this move. I think the price hike was terrible. I think it's a terrible way to welcome new players into the environment. I think there is more to it than people are reading into. I think the reversal was great. The fact that the reversal, I thought it was going to take 48 hours. They ended up doing it much quicker. I think it was under 10 hours overall. So I think there is something to be commended there. Again, not wanting to commend them because they did something terrible to begin with, but I do like the fact that they did make the change. They made the change quickly, and they gave something extra, even if it was pre-planned in the move.
I like how even when Microsoft makes a big mistake, you still somehow find a way to defend them with like this insider trading knowledge that you have. It's like, Joey, if I asked you to defend
I mean, most of this was public in the article. People are just not reading it the right way. So again,
Joey,
I don't want to defend them, but there's little pieces that people are missing out on in this whole move.
In the world of clickbait headlines, if it's not there, I'm not going to read it. It's as simple as that. If it's not within the first 2 sentences, Joey, look, this is what's going to happen, people. No, so Xbox has a price hike. Joey finds a way to defend them, like, oh, well, they have all this great stuff in the plans. You know, this is their ultimate goal, blah, 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 blah. Next, on Monday's edition, he's going to find a way to defend the hedge fund people from short stocking and then blocking people from trading on Robinhood. So just give him time to work on his defense, and he'll find some way to wrap Xbox in there and make it like, you know, it's a gift to gamers or something. You know, I'm just giving you a hard time, Joe. You don't have to defend that.
I know. Summary, guys, TLDR, terrible move, but there was a little bit more to it, a little bit more love for returning players. I don't know if we can call it love, but defense, I guess, for returning players. And I think this is a bigger move. Again, just speculation, but I believe they're moving toward getting rid of Xbox Live later down the road once those Game Pass subscribers are big enough. Terrible move. Should never have been made, but I'm glad it's reversed. I'm glad there might be some further direction that is a bit more consumer friendly now and moving forward as well.
Shocker, Joey. Our next topic also happens to be Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't want to spend I really don't want to spend too much time on this, but it is just really an oversight for gaming in general right now. We'll do the same thing when Sony comes out with their earnings, as well as some of these other big gaming companies. But just to briefly look over Q2 earnings and how gaming is doing in general, gaming revenue for Xbox is up 51%. Xbox content and services is up 40% this past quarter. Xbox hardware revenue up 86%. That's just to give me like basic common knowledge. You have new consoles coming out compared to consoles that will be taking off the market. Obviously, it's going to be a giant spike there, 86% being that spike in this case. Game Pass, they're currently about 1 million users a month, like we touched on. They're a high retention rate as well. So one thing with Game Pass is a lot of people subscribe to the $1 deal for the first month or for the first 3 months. Some people even got it longer. Now we're seeing a lot of that retention come through as well. So people who do have that deal are going on to pay whatever the $9.99 or $14.99 for their plan. It's now above 18 million users overall, with Xbox Live surpassing 100 million users as well. So again, I think this is across the industry, not just Microsoft. They're just one of the first ones that have come out and mentioned their earnings reports. PlayStation will probably be the same way. I would expect their console sales to be even higher. When you look at some of the other stuff going on in the industry, Nintendo, the Switch has been the best-selling console for like God knows how long at this point. They're probably like 24 months, absolutely popping off, and it's still hard to find in stores. Nintendo can freaking come out and release a Mario game, throw a new skin on it, maybe just even port it over to a new console and throw a $60 price tag on it, and you're good to go. Some people I know recently bought like Luigi's Mansion, the original, for like $80 because Nintendo games just do not decline in price. Apparently, they just go up over time. So Nintendo just kind of runs to the beat of their own drum, but they're doing extremely well as well. Another thing to touch on here, and not necessarily Microsoft related, but sticking with earnings reports, AMD's Lisa Su, the CEO over there, came out and talked about the current shortage with hardware. The current PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC hardware shortage she expects to last through the middle of the year. So originally projected, Sony and Microsoft were expecting pretty big sales in the spring. Lisa Su is saying, hey, slow your roll there, Sarah Lee. It could take a little bit longer as we're still running a bit behind on some of these chips. So AMD thinking that this could wait until the fall, maybe even next holiday, before we see enough stock in there to really see a big spike once again. Okay, that's the earnings report. John, anything else you want to hit on gaming? I mean, overall, 2020 was a rough year, but gaming did very well. And so far in 2021, if you look at Tencent's acquisitions, Microsoft's earning numbers, it looks like gaming is doing quite well to kick things off here in this year.
Yeah, not too shabby. Gaming still being one of the go-to media and entertainment sources as the pandemic continues. Not surprising that we're seeing record numbers in video game console sales, in video game sales, and video game development. Just overall interaction with video games continues to spike because of a lack of entertainment. Not like you can really go to a movie theater, say your AMC, if you will, and be in a packed theater of 400 or 500 people to watch the latest Spider-Man. You can't really do that right now. So yeah, it makes sense just with how popular gaming is. So there you go.
Absolutely. And the other thing no one pays attention to, we're not going to dive into it a ton. I feel like I talk about it all the time. Mobile gaming is one of those things that no one really pays attention to, but it continues to rise, especially in Asia. So you'll see a lot of that continuing to come up. A lot of big mobile games getting released this year. Diablo Immortal, the one that had a lot of praise and difficulties at the beginning as well. With don't you all have phones out there at the BlizzCon conference? So that game got a lot of hate initially, but now getting a lot of love so far in its beta stage. So that will be one of the bigger mobile releases coming out this year. I think eventually being released in China as well later in the year. Okay, stock market talk. We've talked about it here and there throughout the episode, but John, we got to talk a little bit about GameStop and why it is climbing. GameStop, one of those companies, brick and mortar, kind of like your Blockbuster of video games in a sense, is a lot of the comparison there. People going in, buying games in a brick and mortar store is happening less and less. A lot of people looking digitally. On top of that, if they're buying physical copies, a lot of people swiping that Amazon card and saying, hey, Prime, let's get 2-day delivery on that new title. So we're not seeing a ton of people go to brick and mortar stores anymore. And on top of that, GameStop is competing with your Targets, your Walmarts, all of the other brick and mortar stores out there that also deal in video games. So why is this not climbing? Why is GameStop popping off of all of these stocks? Why is GameStop moving from $3 a share to, I don't know what it hit, 450 something a share in the last week? It's just continuing to pop up there. Guys, it has nothing to do with gaming. The only thing gaming here is the fact that the name is GameStop and that it is a company that deals somewhat in gaming. They also do other things like action figurines and comics. But GameStop overall really has nothing to do with this. And John and I won't get into a ton of stock market discussion here because it is a little complicated. But overall, a bunch of hedge funds on Wall Street came out and tried to short a bunch of stocks. GameStop is a stock that they shorted the most of. It had a float percentage of 140%. Overall, they tried to short the stock for more stock than was available. What does shorting mean? It pretty much says, hey, I'm going to borrow the stock at this price. I'm going to sell it to someone. Let's say I borrow it for $10. I sell it to John. Eventually, I'm expecting this stock to drop to maybe $5, $3, and then I'm going to buy it back at that point. So again, gifted that borrowed stock for $10. I buy it for $3. I end up making a profit when I eventually sell it back, and I make a profit of $7. Very little amounts compared to what these people are doing. A lot of them up in the millions and billions worth of dollars. So a lot of people are expecting this to absolutely pop off. Well, someone on Wall Street Bets on Reddit decided to say, hey, these people floated way more stock than is available, and we can easily cut them out. They got a bunch of people on the Reddit to jump into it as well. When the subreddits continued to buy into GameStop, this stock ended up rising quite a bit. Bit of a tongue twister coming out here. And it absolutely popped off. It hit 150 earlier in the week, then 200, then eventually raising up to about 450. And then things got crazy. We ended up seeing trading apps like Robinhood, I believe TD Ameritrade, Webull, a few of the other ones ended up shutting down where you could only sell that stock and not buy that stock overall. So it's going crazy. They're trying to sell their shorts. Some people have short sales that end on Friday. So what the Reddit community was trying to do is inflate the stock a ton, have them have to sell it, and end up losing billions of dollars. They bankrupted a couple hedge funds. They've had to get some financial assistance. A few other ones could be on their way out as well. But overall, I mean, John, you're welcome to dive into this here. This really is not super gaming and esports related, so we're not going to touch a ton more on it. But overall, it is one of those stock things that does involve a gaming company, so it's worth mentioning here as well.
So obviously the gaming community has mixed feelings about this. Joey, you and I being millennials, we grew up with GameStop being, pretty much your go-to when you wanted to buy a video game. Like you lined up at 11 p.m. for a midnight release. You had someone dressed up as Master Chief from Halo come out and give you a comic book based on the Bible telling you why you're going to hell for playing video games. I distinctly remember that. It was a whole experience. Like GameStop was like the place to go to get your video game. And it was also known for the same place that you just bought a $60 video game from, and you want to trade it back in and you get $5 for the video game that they're about to flip and sell for $50. So there was a love-hate relationship with them. And they've been going downhill over the past decade because obviously digital gaming is the future. You're going to be buying games digitally, downloading it from the internet. It's going to be saved on your hard drive. Physical gaming is going away, folks. It's going to happen. Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to buy a physical copy of a game anymore. If you do, it's purely going to be for a collector's edition to say you have a physical copy. It's not going to be needed. It's not going to be on demand anymore. And, so it's like GameStop's is kind of like there. But like Joey said, this has nothing to do with video games. This actually has nothing to do with the company itself. This has to do, long story short, with the rich 1% wanting to get richer by greed, by market manipulation. That's what hedge funds do, is they manipulate the market into their favor. Now, when a group of people from a subreddit got together to pump money into the stock because they noticed that that the stock was short. It was horribly short. And they realized that they could make a ton of money by squeezing these hedge funds. They did it. And they drove the price up to $400 per share. And north of that, like Joey said, some hedge funds went out of business. Some had to be bailed out. We're talking 2, 3, 4 billion with a B dollar bailouts, to the point where, like Joey said, Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, Webull, everyone stopped selling these stocks because they all sell stocks through Citadel, which is a hedge fund, which also had to bail out other hedge funds. They didn't want to lose money. That is textbook market manipulation that happened right in front of our eyes today. That happened today on the 28th of January, that you could not trade anymore. You could only sell. You couldn't buy any more stocks in any of these, whether it was GameStop, AMC, Nokia, BlackBerry. You couldn't buy them. They were fully removed and suppressed on all of these apps to buy stocks on. It is pure market manipulation to a T. It is highly illegal. Several class action lawsuits have already been filed, and hang on for the ride. It is going to be fun. I have a feeling that there should be some pretty big ramifications coming from this. Joey, I saw a billionaire cry, a grown man, a billionaire cry on CNBC today because it's not fair that a bunch of bullies from some internet message board are attacking the rich, Joey. I'm worth $3.2 billion. How dare you come after a couple million? How dare you come after my hedge fund and try to shut me down because you're manipulating the market not in my favor? I'm 77 years old and I've been doing this for my entire life and I've made billions. How dare you do the exact same thing I've been doing for 30, 40, 50 years and take my money that I manipulated away from other people? You know what? Wall Street deserves it. As far as I'm concerned, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things you can obviously tell one side of the coin John and I are on here. And it's not everyone in that 1%. You've had people like Mark Cuban, Elon Musk that have come out and spoken against this as well. Some of their companies or products that they've invested in have been shorted by some of these hedge funds before. So there is a bit of an alternative there. They are invested in some way in a sense, taking down these hedge funds or fighting back against them, seeing them do something poorly. So take it as you will. It's not the full 1%, but a lot of these hedge funds definitely playing. I mean, it's not necessarily against the law, but they're doing a lot of shady things in the market and they're using the market to their advantage. Now, when someone uses it against them in a very similar sense, just kind of taking the reverse of that, they are not a big fan of it. Again, they kind of put themselves in that own situation, and I don't really feel too much fault for them because they're shorting stocks way more than they should be. They're trying to cause companies like GameStop to fail and to bankrupt. Personally, I think GameStop has enough power to bankrupt themselves the way they're currently going with their business. I don't really think they need a hedge fund to help with that. And I do think stuff like the Microsoft deal that came out, they got their Surface tablets, they have, I don't know, Xbox promotion at the front of the store, all that good stuff, and Microsoft giving them a heavy cut whenever an Xbox game or console or controller or whatever is sold is enough to keep them afloat here and there. But overall, these hedge funds have decided to short the stock. Reddit ended up calling their bluff, jumped in, made a huge deal about it, and then you did see market trading halted, which, again, John and I are not lawyers in any sense. Take this as you will. We are not financial advisors either. We're not the biggest fan of the way that went down. We personally find it illegal based on what we have read on market conditions. So we'll see how it all plays out. Like John mentioned, there's a number of class action lawsuits that have been filed or are in the process of being filed for a few of these different companies. I know one got filed in New York against Robinhood. There's a few coming up as well for Robinhood in different areas, as well as TD Ameritrade and a few other companies. So we'll see how all that goes out, what actually ends up getting filed and how this goes. I have a feeling this will go on for quite a while. I don't know if we'll see GameStop going all the way to the moon, like Wall Street Bets would like you to think. We'll eventually see some fluctuation with it as markets do open back up. I believe Robinhood and a number of others are opening back up tomorrow in limited capacity, whatever that's going to mean. Probably so the rest of the shorts can be sold off, and then eventually we might see some more action on that front. But for now, my nightlight just turned on and my whole screen turned yellow. So this is a new experience here on the LvLUp Podcast, as well as in the stock market with GameStop, AMC, and many more.
Joe's got to protect his boomer eyes.
Yeah, so okay, guys, I installed, well, it's already installed, Nightlight. I used f.lux or Flux, whatever you want to call it, before. I posted screenshots, and they were super tinted, like yellow and orange. And everyone on Discord, discord.me/OTN, by the way, seemed to hate my screenshots and criticize them. So I'm like, okay, I'll switch over to Nightlight. Well, with f.lux or Flux or whatever you want to call it, it ended up doing a nice little transition over an hour. My eyes just nicely adapted from blue to yellow. Now it's just like super extreme, and now everything looks super dark, and I'm going to blink a lot because we are in this new state here, just like the stock market. But yeah, exciting times over there, John. I know I have not bought GameStop stock. Fun fact, I did own stock for $3 back in the spring. I sold it for like $10 or $15. Had no idea 6 months later it'd be worth $400 something. So here we are. Good times. Lay rip. Wow, we're going a little bit long, but we got quite a bit more to share. So we're going to keep diving in on this episode. Again, we did not have a Monday episode. That was my fault. We are here Thursday, though, and we have got more news. Netflix. They have announced the development of an animated Tomb Raider reboot series coming to the platform in the future. Yet another game-related TV/movie coming out. John, we've seen a lot of these. We've seen The Last of Us in the works, Uncharted in the works, Elder Scrolls, Fallout. I don't know if those are public, but they're in the works. There's a number of different series in the realm of video games that are currently being developed. Halo is one that's out there in the public. They're on Stars. They're going to be working on that, as well as a few other ones that have not been announced just yet. But Tomb Raider now joining that list as an animated series on Netflix. On top of that, Tomb Raider is not done. We can now confirm that Crystal Dynamics, the maker of the recent reboot trilogy for Tomb Raider, is also working on a new game. This is public information now. They haven't told a ton about it, so we're going to hold back on the details for now, but there is a new Tomb Raider game in the works. The idea behind it is to unify the timeline of the original games with the reboots. How do they flow together? Can we make them coexist? The idea of this first game coming out is to make that happen. So we'll see what Crystal Dynamics puts together there. John, are you excited for this new Tomb Raider game, as well as Netflix to take a crack at this as well?
Sure. Let's see how bad this can be. I'm setting the bar low. You're not going to have to do much to win me over. Everything, Witcher not included, has really just, I feel like Witcher's an outlier, has just been absolute garbage. So I will wait and see. I will hold judgment until then.
Okay, chat is brilliant. Spitfire 5 over there, a Spitfire V. A WoW anime, and then John coming out with the Konosuba comment. That would be quite the experience.
I freaking love Konosuba. It's so good. It's so ridiculous. I love it.
That would be quite the experience to behold. So Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO, whoever wants to pick it up. Great ideas coming out here tonight for LvLUp. John, I know you play MMOs. You're a big WoW guy. I do not play this one, but the world itself kind of inspires me. With the Elder Scrolls, the online global reveal event was on Tuesday. I'm not going to hit a ton of this because I don't think either one of us play it, but there are something like 26 million players out there that do. So for any listeners that might, we're going to see Within the Gates of Oblivion and Blackwood as the next chapter coming out. So some exciting stuff there for Oblivion fans, as well as those trying to dive more into the Elder Scrolls. You're going to get a new zone, Blackwood, a fiendish main storyline that's going to tie into the Gates of Oblivion adventure, a new companion system, a new 12-player trial, Rock Grove, new world events based on Oblivion portals. If you guys want to go back to that Elder Scrolls, I think 4 Oblivion, new world events, new delves, public dungeons, world bosses, standalone quests, updates, quality of life improvements, and much more coming from ZeniMax Online and the Elder Scrolls studio there. So Elder Scrolls, I don't know where it stands in the rankings, John. I think it's top 5 still, maybe even top 3 when it comes to online MMOs right now. Wildly popular, that first-person view that comes out, as well as the lore-rich world of Elder Scrolls, that global event happening this week. And I believe this comes out later in the spring, if I remember correctly.
This is my favorite screenshot. This is like Fire Bear or something, or Diablo Bear or something. Like it's a bear with fire paws and fire eyes, Joey. I like this one a lot.
Fire Bear, Fire Bear. I feel like we could write a song.
We just got a copyright strike because you did that.
Are you kidding me? There's no song called Fire Bear.
Yeah, but it was literally
I did not hit 30 seconds, sir. I could have gone on for 30 seconds, but I did not. Diving into the next topic, Elder Scrolls Online. Again, guys, check this out. New expansion, global reveal. Head on over to elderscrollsonline.com to get more info. We're just going to keep on moving on for the sake of time, especially for our podcast listeners get this later down the line. More than 19 million players downloaded Star Wars Battlefront 2 when it was free on the Epic Game Store this past week / week and a half. It ended up coming out. A lot of people bought into it. We haven't really seen too many metrics on what is claimed as a free game on the Epic Game Store. So it's kind of cool that it's Star Wars getting 19 million downloads, but overall, it's kind of interesting that we finally see some metrics coming out from the Epic Game Store. This one based on a post on Twitter, I believe, from EA. Pretty cool stuff. Did you take advantage of that download, sir?
I got it for free. I have not actually physically downloaded it yet.
Well, it's got to start somewhere, right? Now sitting in that beautiful library of the Epic Game Store, they continue to give out free games. So guys, whether you play on Steam or Epic, go ahead and claim free games. No one likes to turn down free things. It'll take you right to the moon, maybe like some of these stocks will potentially if you listen to Wall Street Bets. So keep an eye out for those on the Epic Game Store. Game details, updates, and leaks. Not a ton to touch on here, but we're going to touch on a few. Biomutant now has a release date. It's coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox on May 25th, 2021. I don't know if Squircle is still in chat, but this is one of those games that Squircle has mentioned on Discord a few times. It's kind of a cool game from a cool developer coming out. It does get a little bit of a minor delay here, but now we have an official release date as well, coming out here in late spring, early summer. I'm kind of excited for this one. I don't super know what to expect. I'm curious to get more thoughts from Squircle on this, but overall, it now does have an official release date. PlayStation exclusive Returnal. This is a bit of a horror game coming out from Housemarque or House Marquee, depending how you pronounce it. It's been delayed just slightly. It was originally going to set for a March release, now coming out in April 30th, 2021. This, again, is a PlayStation, I believe, console exclusive. It might be a complete exclusive. I don't know if it's ever going to make its way over to PC, at least initially, but it is kind of a cool-looking game, John. I know they've shown this at a few different showcases. I believe it was first shown at their June showcase. It kind of dives into that horror realm, a bit more of that where are we kind of mystery horror in a sense. So we'll bring those thriller aspects. It does look very good graphically overall, as many of those PlayStation's exclusives do. So it is one game a lot of people are excited for, and it now has a spring release, and it's going to be releasing alongside a lot of hotly contested titles that a lot of people are looking to play as well.
Yep. Game delays. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Expect more of them. It's going to be the new normal until the world gets back to normal. COVID wreaking havoc on developers still. So it's not surprising to see them delay another game, and it won't be the last one for sure.
Absolutely. This next one is delayed as well. I am excited for it, but I have no idea what to expect. This is the Lord of the Rings Gollum. It is being developed by Nacon, and we can now tell you it's published by Daedalus as well. It's set to arrive on Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo consoles, so it's coming to Switch as well day one and PC in 2022. It was originally set for a early 2022, late 2021 release. Now with COVID-19 playing different impacts here and there, as well as the new strands, it is going to see a bit of a delay into 2022 for sure. Maybe even into late 2022, depending on how those delays end up playing out. I'm curious what this game is going to be about. Are we playing around the storyline of Gollum and maybe his origin story of how he became Smeagol? Are we playing as Gollum in general and chasing Frodo around with the ring? I'm super curious to see how this ends up playing out, but the idea of another game based in Middle-earth, another game diving into the rich lore that J.R.R. Tolkien put together in Lord of the Rings is super exciting to me. So I'm excited to kind of get this as a game title, and especially not knowing really what to expect as of yet.
Is it really Tolkien and not Tolkien?
Okay, so I always said Tolkien, but I'm always corrected. So I'm not quite sure.
I've never heard it called Tolkien before.
Oh yeah, I've taken a lot of like literature classes like in college, and I took one on the Lord of the Rings. In fact, it was like symbolism in Lord of the Rings, and the guy was Scottish, so that could play a role here. But every time I said Tolkien, he pronounced it Tolkien. So could have been some kind of translation issue there between the Scottish accent and the way it's pronounced in the UK compared to the way it's pronounced here. I don't know, but Middle-earth is sick, and I'm excited to see a game in it. Did you get into Middle-earth as big as I did? Like, I love the lore behind it, and it just amazes me that an author came out and not only wrote these books, but wrote so many different languages to make them happen.
I mean, I'm fascinated by them. I enjoy it. I'm not obsessed with that universe as much as I am with, like, let's say a Star Wars, you know, or a Marvel cinematic, not cinematic, but this is like a Marvel kind of universe kind of thing, or even Harry Potter, throw that in there as well. You know, I mean, I don't hate Lord of the Rings. I enjoy it. I've seen all the movies. I haven't read all the books. I'll fully put that out there as a disclaimer. I like the idea of Golem / Schmeagol chasing down the ring. That would be a pretty solid game. I don't feel like we have a lot of games from the bad guy perspective or the perceived bad guy perspective. I want to see more games from the bad guy perspective. I want to see more games where, like, we're going after the hero and we get to see what happens on the bad guy side. Like, there's always two sides to a story. Like, is the good guy really the good guy? Or, you know, does the bad side actually have a point here? You know, like the Empire. The Empire did nothing wrong. It was a terrorist uprising that took down the Death Star 1 and Death Star 2. It's just not cool. But anywho, yeah, I want to see more from, like, the other side on some of these stories. So I kind of, part of me does kind of hope that it's like his origin story, like you get to chase down the ring at the end before you're thunder kicked into a volcano. Spoiler. But yeah, so yeah, I'm curious. I'll take a look at it when it comes out.
Yeah, most people try to put the spoiler tag before they say the spoiler.
I'm sorry. Look, this story's been out for how long? I'm sorry. If you haven't read it or seen it by now, that's your problem, not mine.
Wow.
Get cultured.
To the moon.
To the moon.
IO Interactive's 007 game will play differently from their critically acclaimed Hitman franchise. By the way, Hitman 3 has come out extremely well. They have already made all of their money back from the full development of that game, the same as Cyberpunk did. Again, Cyberpunk was a little bit shakier because some of that money did end up going back into the pockets based on refunds. But to my knowledge, there have not really been a big wave of Hitman refunds. So Hitman 3 doing extremely well, making a lot of money. And now looking at their next game, 007, whatever this new Bond game will be, it's not going to feature a Bond actor. We are not looking at someone coming from the movies, not an old actor like Pierce Brosnan, not Daniel Craig in the newer movies. No Bond actor that we know of will be in this game. On top of that, it will be built on a completely original story. So we're not talking any of those legendary GoldenEye, Octopussy, any of those different game titles out there, or movie titles really in the James Bond 007 universe. Something completely different, something original. I don't know if this is what it's going to be, but there is some speculation that it's going to be an origin story as well. So kind of James Bond before 007, how did he become this secret agent within the agency? So that's going to be something that could be explored there. On top of that, the studio is looking to double in size to nearly 400 staff as well, with their eyes set on a potential trilogy for this new franchise.
Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool if it was more like an origin story, like how the whole 00 program came to existence and like how they were recruited. And so I think it'd be kind of cool to see like an origin story for all of that. But at the same time, I would love a remake or a sequel to GoldenEye because that game was bumping.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like at least with superheroes, we get origin stories here and there. I feel like Batman has been done a few times, whether it's in video games, movies, TV shows. You've seen stuff with Superman, some of the other players here and there when it comes to Marvel versus DC. There's definitely origin stories for superheroes. But when it comes to something like 007 and James Bond, we really haven't seen too much of that. He kind of just got thrown in as an agent, and we see different missions and the different way he interacts as an agent and in a sense grows up within the agency as an agent as well. But we haven't really seen how he got there, why he became an agent, why he is this legendary 007 overall. So I'm curious to see if they do go that origin route, what it ends up taking, and what kind of stuff we may play through within that game with it being a spy-based thriller.
What happened to 001 through 6? Like,
006 you do meet in one of the movies at least.
Yeah, whatever. Isn't he a bad guy though?
I think he becomes a bad guy.
He turns out to be a bad guy.
Spoiler alert, guys. Hello.
It's been out forever. You should know this.
We're working on spoilers here on the show. We're going to throw a little transition up at some point for one. Dragon Age 4. This is a spoiler, ladies and gentlemen, but it is publicly released. The next installment in Dragon Age, the franchise, will take place in Tevinter. So those you Dragon Age fans, that is where we will be going for this. I did put up a link here, John. I don't think we need to pull up a map or anything for live audiences, but for Dragon Age fans, that will be the area that will be further explored in the new Dragon Age 4. I don't think we have an official release date yet, probably another year or two away, especially with COVID delaying a lot of different games here and there, with developers moving from home, but that is one thing to keep in mind for the future. Okay, cutting down some of this because we are quite a bit over time today. We're going to hit on one more game and then we'll move on to just a couple more announcements and then end the show. This is Knights of the Old Republic 3. John and I had the pleasure of breaking this news before most of the different media outlets out there. A lot of people picked up articles this past week and this week as well, mentioning the KOTOR 3 is in development, as well as some of the details about it. We gave you guys more details than a lot of them are reporting on, and we're going to continue to give you guys more details as well. So after breaking those, we originally told you that it is not by the makers of Knights of the Republic 1 or Knights of the Republic 2. It is not BioWare, and it is not Obsidian making the game. It will not be either one of those. A lot of people currently noticing that EA and BioWare are not making it, but not mentioning Obsidian. We can confirm it is not Obsidian making the game. Microsoft is in talks with Lucasfilm Games as well for a new Star Wars game, but it will not be made by Obsidian and not be Knights of the Republic 3. On top of that, we don't 100% know who the studio is. It's a mystery studio. We've been told that we will not guess what studio it is. Well, we do have a guess after talking a bit. John and I have an idea of what this could be. Again, speculation here. Take it with a grain of salt. Shake a full salt shaker if you want. We're not really sure, but this is what we're kind of being led to. If you put some pieces together on a few different things, we believe the mystery studio is Asper Media. It's a studio that has worked with Lucasfilm for quite a while now. It's handled the ports for Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 to mobile devices. I can't think of the name of it, but the pod racing game on N64, they recently ported that over to Xbox One as well as PlayStation 4. So there's a number of different ports and Star Wars games that they have worked on, and they've been in a working relationship with Lucasfilm Games for quite a while now, or Lucasfilm's now recently redeveloped into Lucasfilm Games. On top of that, again, grain of salt, guys, but they are working on a AAA RPG. We do not know the title. We do not know the theme. We do not know any details about it. But we also know this mysterious KOTOR 3 game could be a AAA RPG in most people's minds. Putting 1 and 2 together, it's starting to look more and more like Asper Media could be that company. But there's more. We're not done. So when all the articles pick this up next week, you know where it came from. On top of that, they have a recent hiring spree as well. They've picked up a ton of ex-BioWare developers. So the people not only working with BioWare, but the people who worked on Knights of the Old Republic 1 now work for Asper Media as well. So TLDR, Asper Media has worked with Star Wars projects before. They have a great relationship with Lucas Games. They've typically ported or remastered games in the past. Now it looks like they are getting their hand at their very own game and to really develop Knights of the Old Republic 3 into their own thing. They're going to do it with people who've worked on Knights of the Republic 1, maybe a few developers from Knights of the Republic 2 from Obsidian as well. But overall, Knights of the Republic 3 is in development. We can confirm that. We can confirm it is not BioWare and Obsidian. And with a grain of salt, we think it is Asper Media, the developer behind this new game as well. Anything else to say on that, John? I'm super excited that we hit this before tons of media people picked it up. We did it originally announcing that it was in development. I think we'll do it again here. Some of the speculation here, there was a Russian blog that actually wrote about it originally, and then we dove a bit more into the information. So I'm curious to see what it all plays out as. But overall, I think this could be a really good guess at who's behind development of that new game.
Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of the signs point to Asper. That relationship with Lucas Games is a massive, massive thing. The fact that they have experience in the Star Wars universe already. They've been a part of several major game franchises as well. I mean, they have the resume to take on something this massive, and with this much emphasis on expanding the Star Wars lore and expanding that universe for gamers, it's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. And, we may not bring you all the spicy takes from time to time, but, if you've been tuning in, we've been bringing you some pretty spicy takes here on LvLUp. And this one, like Joey said, here on LvLUp, we hit it before a lot of other media outlets did. A lot of other media outlets still won't even go into it because the details are still trying to be flushed out there. But, keep an eye, see what's going to happen, and just realize that, it's going to happen. It's going to be massive. And if it is Asper, it's going to be a great moment for that company.
Absolutely. And I think they've just really earned their spot at this as well. Working on so many Star Wars games, even porting over Knights of the Old Republic too. They know the lore behind it. They've worked with it before. They know the mechanics of how it plays. Now they get a shot and not only diving into the Star Wars IP and kind of making it their own in a sense, but doing so with a game they've touched here and there in different ways. They know the game. They know the player base. It's going to be a fun way to see what they can do with it if this ends up being that company. Again, grain of salt, but it does look like things are lining up that way. Just a couple more things. I know Discord has been struggling tonight for the live audience. Thanks for sticking with us here. Just a couple more announcements, and then we'll wrap up today's show. Blooper Teams, The Medium, has released today and is available on Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. Again, guys, this is not reviewing the greatest. It's getting about a mid-70 score on Metacritic. I think last I looked, it was like a 73 on there. So not reviewing extremely well. A lot of criticism that's positive on the graphic level. A lot of criticism on the frames per second. I think it drops down to 30 frames per second, at least on console versions at some points in the game. Part of this reason is they're using some next-gen technology involved here, where they're simultaneously rendering two different environments at the same time. This is something that we've not seen done in gaming before. The Medium doing it for Xbox. We do have Ratchet and Clank doing it for PlayStation coming out in the spring as well. So when you have next-gen tech like this, it's going to have some hiccups here and there. 30 frames per second is what most gamers played on console last year and on last generation. A lot of people thinking 60 frames per second should be the base, which for PC gamers makes sense. They went 60 or higher, but for console gamers, this is still a very new thing, and it's going to take a bit of time for that technology to catch up. So mid-70s, I can't tell you. I haven't played it. I don't know what the story is like. I'm not a big horror game fan myself, but I do think the idea of them using next-gen technology might be worth at least the download to check out and to see how that does end up working even with the frame per second drop. So we'll see how that develops over time and over the generation of these consoles. But for now, if you guys want to check that out, it is on Game Pass for PC and console. So if you're a subscriber there, it is free. You just have to download it.
Look, PC gamers, we're spoiled. The console noobs are starting to get to the 21st century when it comes to FPS. We got to be gentle with them. Yes, we need to remind them that they are still inferior when it comes to gaming platforms. But at the same time, we want to welcome you to the 60 frame per second club. Well, we've left that behind like 8 years ago. Just welcome to the 21st century, console gamers. It's kind of fun.
Slowly but surely. But yes, next-gen tech being utilized in that game, also being utilized in Ratchet and Clank coming out later on. So check out those two simultaneously really circulated environments as they move, and you can switch between them. If you want to check that out, that will pop up there. It did come out today, so I believe it is available to download everywhere that it is available at this point. A Final Fantasy, I believe, XIV, that's what, 14? Final Fantasy 14? Need to work on my Roman numerals over here. But Final Fantasy 14 online showcase is scheduled for Friday, February 5th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. The broadcast will be both in English and Japanese. We don't officially know what's going to happen. I do have some speculation. Personally, it's on PlayStation and PC currently. I believe one of the major announcements will be that it is coming to Xbox consoles as well. Again, nothing really to back that up. Just a quote that came out in November of last year that Xbox said they were working with Square Enix to try to make that happen. I think this could be the showcase where that does officially get announced, as well as some new content coming to that game as well. You done laughing about me with Roman numerals over there?
Are you sure it's 14?
It is, right? XIV. The V is the 5, so you get the 1 minus 1.
Answer?
X is the 10.
Final answer?
Yeah,
14?
Final Fantasy 14 online. Final answer. Lock it in, Regis.
Regis is dead, first off. That was very inconsiderate of him.
Okay, he is the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I know Meredith Vieira took over for a while, but in my mind, Regis will always be there.
What do you want?
Alex
Who wants to be a billionaire? Who wants to be
every-
a millionaire connoisseur over there? Like, you just rattle off
just
all
saying,
the hosts.
I like some show here and there. Family Feud as
Jeez.
well. I mean, a lot of great hosts over there. Yeah, see, look at this. Chat agrees with me.
Look.
Regis.
Come at me when you want to talk about supermarket sweep, my dude. Like, let's go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, is it right? I am right?
It's
14?
14, yes, it's 14.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, chat. Thank you, John. Thank you, Final Fantasy, for this beautiful showcase. You are bringing, again, Friday, February 5th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm a whack job.
You are.
Rainbow Six Siege, reminder, we announced this last week, but it is the fifth edition, of the 6 Invitational. A lot of numbers being thrown around, one of them not being 14. This time it's set to be held in Paris, France from February 9th to the 21st. If you're interested in that, go ahead and mark your calendars for not quite next week, but a little bit farther than that. February 9th is when that action will be kicking off. On top of that, Valorant tactical shooter players out there, you get some action too. The NA portion of the 2021 Valorant Champions Tour is kicking off this week. Open qualifiers started today. So go ahead and check that action out. Again, January 27th. Oh, I'm sorry. Yesterday is when they opened up for the Valorant Champions Tour, and that is being run by Nerd Street Gamers as well. Last but not least, we're going to touch just a little bit on League of Legends and wrap up today's show because, again, it has gone a bit long, but we didn't record Monday, so you live listeners as well as podcast listeners get a little extra today. The LCS lock-in tournament has been moving along, and we have made it to the Final Four. There is no March Madness because we're in January, so it's a little bit of January Madness happening here in the preseason of League of Legends for North America and their new logo. We have 100 Thieves up against Jon's Cloud9, as well as Evil Geniuses up against Team Liquid, with the winner of both matchups facing off on Sunday, January 31st. Jon, 100 Thieves versus Cloud9. Who is winning and who is moving on to play in the championship of this tournament that means absolutely nothing except some nice bragging rights?
Cloud G2 is going to be moving on against 100 Thieves.
Cloud G2. I believe it's going to be Cloud9 as well. I don't know. Yes, this is best of 5. I'll take Cloud9 3-1 here. I think 100 Thieves is showing some good potency.
It was a perks
Again,
joke.
that Golden Guardians roster has come back. They've moved over to 100 Thieves, showing that they still have some of that synergy that they had last split. Now coming up against a powerhouse Cloud9, adding perks. Still showing a bit of shakiness here and there, but I think enough to move on. I'll take them 3-1.
The G2 was a perks joke, Joey.
Ah, that's where it came from. I like it. Except for Perks needs to learn how to play the game again over here in NA.
In NA, we play a very watered down version of League of Legends. Some would even say it's not League of Legends the way they play. More of a League of Clown Fiesta is what we do here in NA.
League of Clown Fiesta, but not League of Cloud Fiesta, as Jon and I both have Cloud9 moving on. Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid. Jon, Evil Geniuses has been plotting to overthrow TL for quite a while now. I personally think TL is too powerful. I could see EG taking a game, maybe even 2, but I'm going to go Team Liquid 3-1 here to move on.
Yeah, I think TL takes it 3-1 as well. Evil Geniuses has a little more ways to go to grow. Team Liquid tends to falter towards the end of a split. So I think Evil Geniuses will have their time against Team Liquid. Team Liquid is definitely vulnerable, but I think right now Team Liquid's too powerful for them, 3-1 as well.
There you have it. We're taking Team Liquid in Cloud9 in the finals. Jon, since we picked both teams, let's go ahead and do a little prediction here for the finals happening on Sunday, January 31st. So with TL and C9, who are you taking out? And what, I think it's a best of 5 series. What will your series score be as well?
All 5 games regardless. You know what? Why not? Cloud9. It's probably gonna be Team Liquid, but I'm gonna go Cloud9. I'm gonna go.
I like the Cloud9 pick. I will be taking Team Liquid. I'll take them 5 games as well, though. So I'll go 3-2 Liquid. You'll go 3-2 Cloud9, and we'll see how that action ends up. Especially if it ends up being EG versus 100 Thieves in that final, and Jon and I are both burned. We'll find out if it goes to the moon here later on when that happens on Sunday. Last but not least, just a quick look back at the LEC as well, because we do hit on European League of Legends before we wrap up the show. First week was interesting. G2 came out and absolutely dominated, just as we expected after they did end up picking up Reckless and superpowering that roster. Fnatic came out as that expected number 2 or 3 team, and they did falter a bit. They lost to Rogue, and I can't remember who they lost to in game 1. Schalke, maybe? I can't remember. I don't have the schedule up yet. Because I love the LOL esports website. It's so easy to navigate. Thank you, Riot, for making this so easy. Fnatic lost to Misfits in game 1. So Fnatic came out a little bit flat. Rogue came out quite strong, starting out 3-0. G2 looking quite well as well through week 1. We do end up with some nice little standings here. Rogue and G2 tied in first at 3-0, both expected to finish 1 and 2 respectively. G2 on top, Rogue in second. In third place, instead of the projected Fnatic, you currently have Misfits at 2-1. Then you drop down into fourth place, where everyone and their mother is tied at 1 and 2. SK Gaming, Astralis, Excel, Mad Lions, Fnatic, Schalke 04, and Team Vitality down there. So a lot of good action here in LEC so far. A lot of really big super week action with some teams coming out and faltering like Fnatic, other teams showing out dominance like we saw with Rogue and G2. Plenty of time left, plenty of shifts to happen, and this new week of LEC action will be interesting. Jon, if there's one matchup you had to pick to preview for the week ahead, who would you pick as the must-watch matchup in the LEC this week?
It doesn't matter. It's going to all end up in a tie again because apparently in Europe you can't have, clear standings. You have to have a 7-way tie for 4th place. God forbid we actually get standing results in the EU. First off, kudos to you, Misfits. You're the only team currently not in a tie. You are the most American team in EU right now, and I appreciate you. Okay, let's take a look at the schedule here real quick. Let's pull this up. Oh wow, Nixia, way to spell my name wrong. That's hurtful. Wow. Yeah. I hated that so much. I spelled your name wrong. Nice. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see.
There's only one correct answer.
Okay, Joey, how about you tell me what the correct answer is then?
The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is Fnatic up against Mad Lions. Like, some of these games are going to be good. They're going to be tight between lower tier teams. But Fnatic is projected as your number 3 team and Mad Lions projected as your number 4 team. So if you want to see potentially great League of Legends this week, high caliber play, and you want to see a close matchup, Fnatic and Mad Lions should be that one to deliver. Unfortunately, it is going to be the last weekend of LEC, or the last game of LEC action coming out. 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, January 30th, for those interested in checking that one out. But that should be your match of the week. Again, some other exciting matchups in here, but they are against lower tier teams. So while they'll be quite back and forth, you're not really going to see necessarily that top tier League of Legends that you would see from a top 5 team. Do you agree with me on my one choice there?
Sure, why not, Joe? I knew how to be Fnatic something. It was a 50-50 shot of which Fnatic game you were interested in the most.
It's not always Fnatic when it comes.
It's always
Fnatic. Usually
Joey,
disappoints me.
it's your hashtag. It's always Fnatic, Joey.
Oh, the hashtag is true. But yes, guys, so lots of good LCS action. Again, the Final Four preview for that lock-in preseason tournament. That will happen this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Catch those matchups. You could end up with the final Jon and I predicted between Team Liquid and Cloud9, which would be one heck of a spicy matchup to behold. On top of that, some good LEC action with that final match being our match of the week in Fnatic and Mad Lions, coming very end of the week on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Great League of Legends ahead, great gaming news ahead. There's a lot of, let's say, fluid movement in the gaming world right now as far as acquisitions go. Once the Microsoft Bethesda deal closes in about a month to a month and a half's time, I think you'll see a lot of these big moves come through, and they will, in a sense, shake up the industry. There's going to be a lot of big moves coming out. So be excited for what is to come here in gaming.
Joey, before we close the show out, of course, I have to give a shout out to Squircle, most fab turtle, as always, re-upping his sub 26 months, Joey, of supporting us here at OTN Media. Thank you so much, Squircle. Again, as always, for your support and your friendship as well. It is super awesome that you have been here with us for over 2 years. I don't know if I could have stuck around here for 2 years. But we do appreciate that support, Squircle, as always, and a big thank you as always. Well, Nation, that will do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. And if you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from all of our listeners and viewers so much, Joey, that there's multiple ways that they can reach us. Joey, what are those ways?
LvLUp Nation, whether Jon tags it as a spoiler or not, you can find us on Twitter at LvLUp Live. That is at LvLUP Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media as well. Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media. On Instagram, we throw a nice little underscore in there at OTN_media. Last but not least, hit us up with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub over here on Twitch. Twitch.tv/OTN Media. A number of shows throughout the week. LvLUp Live records live Monday nights and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Come check it out. And last but not least, Discord. Discord.me/OTN. Come join the conversation. Come join the fun over there as well.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday. Joey, we are saying goodbye to January. We're welcoming February in on Monday the 1st as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
To the moon.
to the level one, to the moon. You paper
LvLUp
hands.
Live.